You ever have one of those moments where you realize you're not in Kansas anymore? Because my first 3 minutes in this so-called gated community pretty much felt like a slap in the face with a rule book. I hadn't even finished hauling boxes off the moving truck, still standing on my own damn porch with my grandpa's old garden gnome, a little ceramic guy with a fishing pole painted black wearing a tiny dashiki shirt just like Grandpa used to joke when I got my welcome. And by welcome, I mean a screech from a woman on the sidewalk, hair lacquered into a blonde helmet, looking like she just came from foreclosing on a hospital wing. She sized me up, finger locked on the gnome like it was radioactive, and spit out, "This is a gated community, not the ghetto. We don't allow your sort of cultural decorations here." Not a casserole, not a hello, just that. And man, you ever get hit with something so out of left field, your brain just freezes. All I could do was look at the gnome in my hands and try not to let the weight of it, one of the last things Grandpa gave me, turn my arms to jelly. This thing wasn't even out in the yard. I was just carrying it, planning to tuck it away behind the house, where maybe a squirrel would give it a nod of respect. So I managed, "Sorry, who are you?" And that was my first mistake. She puffed up, chest out, eyes pinched like she just bit into a lemon, and announced, "I am the president of this homeowners association, and you are in violation of Section 14, subsection C of the bylaws." I'd been here maybe 5 days. Boxes still stacked up, barely had the water on, and this lady was already waiting to pounce. My voice came out weirdly calm, survival instinct, I guess. "Ma'am, I haven't even unpacked this yet. It's just going in the back, and with all due respect, you're on my property." She hissed back, "Up to 10 feet from the curb is under community jurisdiction. I don't need your permission to enforce the rules you agreed to." Then she leaned in, voice dripping with venom. "We have a certain standard here, a certain quality of life. We don't want things to start slipping." The dog whistle was so loud it could have shattered glass. She wasn't talking about the gnome, she was talking about me, about the color of my skin in her beige little world. I swallowed my anger, held up a hand, tried to de-escalate. "Okay, look, no problem. The gnome's not staying out front. I just moved in. Can we start over?" She stared at my outstretched hand like I was handing her a snake, gave this little sneer smile, and said, "The violation has been noted. You'll get an official warning in the mail. Second infraction, you get fined. Third," she let the threat dangle, then clicked away down the drive, her sensible heels just clacking. And I stood there feeling like I'd just been mugged by bureaucracy. Honestly, I figured I'd met the dragon of the neighborhood if I just played it cool. Kept my nose clean, I'd be left alone. My office faced the street, so I'd watch her patrol in her little golf cart clipboard at the ready, eyes scanning every porch like she was hunting for Al Capone's mailbox. I tried to be the model resident. The gnome found a home on my office shelf right next to Grandpa's photo, safe from all that hate. I kept my lawn immaculate trash cans in by 5:05, didn't matter. First letter came, wasn't even about the gnome. My garden hose, she said, was coiled in a non-uniform manner. I had to go outside and check one loop maybe an inch bigger than the rest. Next week, new letter. Lawn not edged to a precise 90-degree angle. That one came with a $25 fine. I paid it, went out with a level, and shears made it so sharp you could cut brisket on it. Breaking point 1 dandelion by my mailbox. I'd been swamped with work, missed my daily sweep, and bam, a $100 fine for repeat landscape neglect. I snapped. Not in a fireworks way, just this hollow, exhausted break inside. I decided to talk to her, try reason one last time. She opened her front door in a silk robe, white wine in hand, 2 p.m. Looked at me like I was a stray dog. "What do you want?" I held up the violation letter. "Just wanted to talk. $100 for a weed seems excessive." I pulled it already. She sipped her wine. "Rules are rules. If you can't maintain your property, maybe you should have lived somewhere more appropriate for you." That one hit. The coded racism, the assumption that I didn't belong. My voice tightened. "I think you're targeting me. 3 violations in 3 weeks for nothing. Why?" That's when she really lost it. How dare you accuse me? I volunteer my precious time for this community, I shot back. You slow your golf cart in front of my house every single day, not anyone else's. You're harassing me. She laughed, cold, sharp, dead inside. You have no idea what harassment is. You people come in, you think you're special. You drag this community down. Neighbors were starting to peek through their curtains. I crumpled the letter. Forget the fine. This isn't about a dandelion. This is about you having a problem with me living here. And I'm not leaving. So you can get used to it or find a new hobby. I turned to walk away, and her voice followed me, sickly sweet. Oh no, this ends now. I'm gonna make you wish you'd never set foot here. I tried to shake it off, but you know that feeling in your gut when you've just poked a bear? That's all I could feel. Less than an hour later, the neighborhood's peace shattered sirens, squad cars, SWAT. They weren't just driving by, they stopped. At my house. Doors flew open, guys in black gear poured out. This is the police. Come out with your hands up. I froze. My address shouted out over a bullhorn. My brain screamed mistake, mistake, but deep down I knew this was her promise playing out. They broke down my door with a battering ram, flashbang in the living room, smoke everywhere. They zip-tied my wrist boot in my back, dragged me outside right onto my porch, right where every neighbor could see. And there she was, arms folded, smirk plastered on her face, looking like she just won a trophy. The lead cop leaned in. We got a call, a man threatening a woman with a firearm. I'd never owned a gun in my life. No, that's not true, I said. She called you. She threatened me, then called you. He looked at me like I was garbage. You went to her house, right? You admit you argued. He twisted my words to fit the story she'd already written. They searched my house, found nothing, but I could see it in the neighbor's eyes. Suspicion, fear. I was now the boogeyman. You stay away from her, the cop warned, or you and I are going to have a real problem. They left me their wrists burning, front door hanging off the hinges, reputation trashed. And she'd done it. She'd weaponized the whole damn system against me just because she could. Letters from the HOA started arriving even faster. Brown grass from the SWAT team's boots, a visible security camera wire, one thing after another. I started keeping a file, photos, dates, everything. But the twist. My neighbor Frank, the guy always working on his car, finally rolled down his window one night. Hey, that was a load of crap what she did. We all know what she's like. Turned out I wasn't her first target. Grandkids fined for leaving toys out, another family bullied for their autistic son's toy cars. Mary forced to rip out a rose garden her husband had planted. No one stood up because everyone was afraid. Until now. Frank whispered that her brother-in-law was a deputy chief, explained everything. This was bigger than me and a gnome. I needed backup. Found a civil rights lawyer, Alan Davies. He listened, really listened. And when I laid out the evidence, he nodded, furious on my behalf. This isn't just harassment. It's swatting. It's a felony. We're going after her, the HOA, the police, and the county. Not just for fines for civil rights violations and conspiracy. From there, everything escalated. Preservation letters to force them to save emails, dispatch logs, body cam footage. More neighbors, Mary the basketball hoop couple, came forward. We started calling ourselves the HOA Survivors Club. Turns out her whole presidency was built on this pattern target isolate fine drive out, all while handing fat contracts to her family's business. We caught her red-handed on video, faking violations, trespassing, lying under oath during her deposition. When she realized the trap had closed, her mask cracked for the first time, pleaded. The fifth admitted nothing, but everyone could see the guilt. They tried to settle big money NDA hush-hush. But you know what I said? No, I wanted it public. I wanted every neighbor, every cop, every contractor to see what she'd done. News broke. Federal investigation. The feds swarmed and arrested her in a bathrobe, her hair a mess, powerless for the first time in her life. Deputy chief gone. Corrupt officers gone. The board cowed, brought in auditors, rescinded every phony fine, rewrote the bylaws to protect residents, not terrorize them. My neighbors started talking again. Mary's roses bloomed in her front yard. Kids shot hoops without fear. Frank, now the HOA president, ran meetings where people laughed and planned barbecues. I even started a nonprofit, the Homeowners Justice Project, with my settlement money, helping people stand up to bullies in khakis and blazers, teaching them to document, organize, and fight back. I'm not saying the scars just vanish. Even now, a siren makes me pause and I still check my cameras every night. But my home is a home again. And right there in my garden under the sun, Grandpa's gnome sits in pride of place, a little symbol that sometimes, just sometimes, you really can fight the system and win. So tell me, after all that, do you still think a lawn ornament is just a lawn ornament? Or is it a line in the sand? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear what you'd have done. Have you ever stood up to someone who thought they owned you? Because sometimes the only way to make things right is to refuse to move. That's what justice looks like in the real world.